Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Scratch Project presented by our friends at Skunked Golf Company. Look good even if your game stinks. Shout out to them for allowing me to have a very, very interesting opportunity, an awesome opportunity. If you are watching the recording, which should be up hopefully here in the next hour or two, after we're done, please welcome John Hughes. We've got a master PGA instructor, a in-state coach of the year and instructor in the state of Florida. Like, please welcome Mr. John Hughes. And, sir, how are you?
Good, sir. How about yourself?
A little giddy, not gonna lie.
I put my pants on just like you. Let's just have some fun.
That's what we're gonna do. So, my interview style, we talked about it briefly. I just want to have a conversation with you and, kind of just see how this all came about. Because I was reading your book and we talked briefly on the phone before one of my tournaments. And you actually started at college and semi professional, or was it completely professional soccer?
It was semi-professional, collegiate, and professional soccer till I was about 20. Tore up a knee. The league I was in disbanded. I was still in school, and somebody was roaming down the hallway in the dorm one day, clanking their golf clubs. Woke me up really, really early after a late night out, and gave him a piece of my mind. And at the end of giving the piece of my mind, I'm like, why in the world are you playing golf at 6 o'clock in the morning? And there was another buddy there. He sort of leans over. He says, because you can drink beer at 6 o'clock in the morning at the golf course. I'm like, time out. Give me 10 minutes. I'll shower. I'll be right there with you. And it's led to not just a lifestyle, but a very adventurous and very enjoyable career.
I would say so. I mean, you go from having in from one person to another who's had a knee injury. Um, I was a wrestler in high school. Uh, my freshman and sophomore year. My freshman year, I blew out my entire knee, and I had to have orthoscopic surgery. Um, that it was bad. It was like a year and a half recovery for me completely. Um, so I couldn't imagine playing at the level that you were playing at, and then suffering a knee injury and then having the league disband. But out of curiosity, what college were you at the time?
I'm a very proud mountaineer of Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina. At the time I was there, it was a really small school. It's now 20,000 plus students, really growing like a weed. And we're known for our upset over Michigan years ago and some
Oh,
other
we
football prowess stuff.
2007, baby.
But it's a fantastic place, especially during the summer, to just sit back, enjoy life, enjoy nature. There's a lot of things to do there, and one of the how would I put it? One of the best kept secrets as far as vacations go for single people, families, retired. It's a wonderful area of the country.
I'm gonna have to put that down for when I'm traveling because I like one of my favorite spots. I've got a bucket list of places I want to go, right?
We all do.
And Montana, Appalachia, Colorado, like, because those are just beautiful places, in my opinion, that I've only seen through the screen. But B, it's like those have got to have some just picturesque golf courses and, like trails to go hiking with the wife and stuff like that. So,
Absolutely. There's thousands of places like that in the US that somebody can go visit, depending upon your budget, and really enjoy yourself. and enjoy the vistas that the golf courses provide, enjoy the other amenities that the location provides. My wife travels with me some when I'm out coaching, and she's always finding these little hidden gems of places that she sequesters herself off to during the day as I'm working with clients, and I hear about it later that night, and my credit card sees it a month later.
Yeah. Yeah. um my wife, we've outside of me, I've traveled the most out of the two of us. She's been up here in our hometown of Apple Valley, Victorville, since they're like, depending on what side of the street you're on in certain parts, you could be in Apple Valley or Victorville. So she's really never left this part. I think she said one time she went to Louisiana for something. Um, I think they were visiting a relative or something, and she's like, "Oh, I could never deal with the heat in Louisiana and the humidity," and I'm just like, "I dealt with that for years, and you have as well. You live in Orlando."
I live in the Orlando area, but what the retort to that is, hey, that's why it's called a vacation.
Exactly, exactly. Uh, I actually graduated in Florida a little less. I mean, it's a pretty big school now, in terms of students, but back then it was still a little medium sized. Harmony High School. I don't know if you've
Mm,
ever heard of them.
know
Go
know
Longhorns.
exactly where it is. There's a golf course right across the street, right across the highway.
Yeah, go Longhorns. And just kind of piggyback and trace back to one of your earlier things that you said about Appalachia. Thank you very much for beating Michigan all those years and making it the standard. Because I'm a Spartan fan, I don't get a whole lot of joy as a Michigan State fan. So getting to go back when I'm feeling a little down and go watch that 2007 upset gives me the warm and fuzzies inside. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's arguably the beginning of the NIL era. It sort of showed that there was a little bit of parity, and we're all, as Appalachian State alum, waiting on our checks for that to happen. So if you happen to know somebody writing a check from your local university, let us know.
Oh, we will. All right. Let's get into the book a little bit.
Sure.
So, for those of you just tuning in and don't know, Instant Golf Improvement, the 6 Pillars to Golf Success by yours truly. You can get it on Amazon for, I think right now it's $20.
That's all it is. $20 on Amazon. You can also get it at instantgolfimprovement.com for $20 when you get it there. I actually hand sign the the, the book for you.
Yeah. Just so people know, he ain't kidding. He got me a hand signed one, and let me tell you, that was probably the coolest thing I've had happen to me. Is this is the first time I'm having someone. I know you say you put your pants on in the morning just like we all do, but to have a hand signed copy, personal message, and just you know, like it's one of those things where it's like this. I'm glad I do what I do because I get opportunities to interview people like you, and it's incredible. So, with that being said, though, pillar number one, target and acquisition. What would you say, sir, the most important pillar is? Because, in my opinion, I feel like that's the most important one, and it's the first one.
Well, let me go backwards just a half step and give the genesis to the book. Having coached as long as I have, there's always pain points for my clients, but what we hide as really good golf coaches or just coaches in general is our pain points, our frustrations, and these are, I would call them random notes years ago about what my frustrations were, but at the same time, the constant, and as culture and our society grows, this need for instant gratification just gets more and more intense. And people were asking me, well, I want to get this done yesterday, not tomorrow. I only have but so much practice time. Or even better yet, they'd come for a lesson and not want to practice at all. But then the second lesson in the series, it's like, well, why are we doing the same thing over? So that's the genesis of the book. What if you took six things and totally changed your attitude about these six things only with zero practice, and found a process for all six that you could implement on the golf course? Would that improve your scores? It may or may not, but at the end of the day, what it will improve is your enjoyment of the game, because you're going to start realizing, hey, I am capable of playing better. I am capable of making better decisions. And without a doubt, the reason why pillar number one is aim is it's a target game. And most people just fail to realize what's the difference between shooting a gun and hitting a golf ball. It's still point A to point B. The difference is the gun's inanimate. It's waiting for you to aim it. Whereas you're trying to aim a golf club, a particular part of the golf club, but most people aim themselves thinking that, hey, it's me, I got to aim. 90% of the reason why the ball flies in the direction it does is the face of the golf club. So that's really the important part. And I speak very little of alignment because people get those two things confused. Yeah, that is the number one pillar for a reason. And I've got years of videotape where all I've done is send somebody home aiming differently and committed to it. And they come back and their posture changes, their grips metamorphosize, their balance is better, ball position tweaks. There's a lot of things that happen because of what the supercomputer's got to do with the algorithm called our golf swing. And when you can start with a consistent way of aiming, it makes the algorithm simpler and the game a little bit simpler.
Right, because I think in there you you put in it's like it's easier for your like with the darts drill with your least dominant hand. If you're sitting there looking at the dart in your hand and trying to figure out how to grab it and adjust it, you're doing all this mental stuff and messing yourself up mechanically. Whereas if you just center your mind on that bullseye and you just throw, you're more likely to hit the board more times than not because you're not worried about the mechanics. You're just worried about the target.
And that story that you pulled out of the book is an actual real story. And it was sort of one of those aha moments for me. This is about 25, 26 years ago. I've got people in a golf school. I've got a room a little bit bigger in my office here at home and a dartboard in the back because I was still trying to throw darts semi competitively with some buddies at the local bars. And one of the clients during a rain delay picked up the darts, started throwing, and it dawned on me this person's always thinking about how to hold it, looking at it. And so I made him do it left-handed, and that's exactly the epiphany that person had. And that's where every story in the book is a true story, and one of those aha moments for me, one of those random thoughts that collectively, as a book, as a system per se, not a methodology, a system of rethinking how to play golf, it works. Simply because you take your mind off of the minutia and keep your mind on what the real mission is. And in this case, can you get the ball from point A to point B? It doesn't matter how it gets there. You just got to get it there. And when you're doing simpler things with a simpler process and not worried about how you're holding something, and you just take dead aim and hit it, chances are that mistake you think you've made is better than the mistake you're going to make by over manipulating things.
Right. And just another thing too, like this is a basic lesson that I've learned in golf, or not lesson, but just, information. W- Once you start getting in your head about the swing and you're standing over the ball and you're thinking about your swing, you've already lost that stroke. Like you've already lost. If you like you put it perfectly is your decision making is backstage while you're doing your practice swings and stuff like that. Because if you come on to the stage on the main stage and you're having backstage thoughts, that that stroke, that golf, you know, that golf swing in your mind, that's in your mind, not your target.
100% agree. That's not my idea. A lot of different golf coaches, a lot of different coaches in a lot of sports have talked about that when it comes to acting and reacting. Golf's an action sport, meaning you're starting from scratch. Everything else you play or have been involved with, including wrestling, you're reacting to something. So when there's reaction time is so small, 0.75 seconds is typical human reaction time. There's no time to think, you just react. So there's what, 4 or 5 minutes in between each shot that you execute on the golf course. How long do you have that club in your hand? You're forcing the action. So the concept of backstage and the forward stage is more, once you walk across that curtain line, you're trying to be more reactive. And most amateur golfers can't do that because they're so fixated on how to fix their swing versus just go play golf.
Absolutely. I know, man. I've got this kid that he plays for Granite High School out here. He's their number 2 player on varsity. And I'm friends with him and I'm also friends with the number 1 on the golf course, and these kids are set. I think he's 16 and the number 1 17, and number 1 and number 2 play basically an identical game, but number 1 tinkers a lot less than number 2, and his results are more consistent, and like mentally tinkers a lot less too. He's like, okay, this is what I've got, this is what I brought to the dance floor, and this is what I'm going to go with. Whereas on the course, the number 2 player, he's always trying to adjust things on the fly, and I'm like, you can't do that. I told him, just as a regular person and as a athlete in high school and stuff, I was like, the only thing that you can do that you need to worry about is what you have that day. Do you have that shot in your bag? Do you have that recovery shot? Do you have that mentality that day? Because if you don't, you can't be using things you don't have or things you think you're going to have or had in the past. You show up to play golf that day and your golf game is what it is that day. So you got to work with what you got and the tools that are currently in your bag, not what you think you have or what you had.
The other thing to add on to that, and you've got a great thought, and trying to get the direction of these young people in that direction is positive. It should be that way. But one of the things I would have asked the second person, the number 2 person, is what are your standards that you're tinkering off of? When
Mm,
you start tinkering, it's like a recipe that you're going to go make bread, and you're just sort of winging it off the top of your head with no measuring cups, no measuring spoons, no thermometer for the water temperature kind of thing. You're just going, well, let's try this and let's try this and let's try this. Where this book, one of the underlying themes is, what are your standards? What are the things that you standardly do that now you can tweak off of, even at a high handicap level? And from a skill standpoint of view, it's 6 pillars, 6 skills. Can you aim? Ca Do you know your distances? Those are standards. Those aren't gonna change that much on the golf course. Can you hit a chip shot? And how well can you hit this chip shot, not just around the green, but around the golf course? Can you putt? And can you have a standard way of understanding how to distance control your putting? The other standard is, why are you playing stupid golf? When my son was about 2 or 3, I had to sort of set some standards in for him because I was a part-time dad. I lived 300 miles away from him. So I would always look at him and say, There's a difference between dumb and stupid. Stupid knows better. And to this day, he lives by that. And he's a great young man because of it 21 years later. But that's where golfers, they've lived through the situation, yet they'll try it again. That's Freud's definition of insanity.
Right.
You just created a standard by living through it once. And that standard is, hey, to your point, do you have that shot? Do you have the skills and ability? Have you practiced that shot? Is it an 80 to 90% success rate of that shot? If all those answers are no, why are you even doing it? That's stupid as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Right.
Uh, but again, it's a standard. It's a standard way of creating a process, a decision making methodology that allows you to navigate the golf course in fewer strokes.
Absolutely. Um, and to your point, the number two, we'll just call him Magic from here. The number two, Magic, right? I think the reason, you say, and when you have a lack of data and something you haven't done before, that can be considered a dumb shot because it's just something you haven't done. So it's not that you're making a stupid shot. It's a dumb shot because, well, you've never done it before. You don't have the data for it.
They're
You don't
forgivable.
know whether you can do it or not. With him, he's got a lot of shots in his bag, way more shots than I have. And he's still tinkering. And I tell him, I'm like, just because you're changing something about your grip or you're changing something about your weight shift or anything like that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're going to be able to hit that shot. Just because you're changing something. You're like, well, maybe if I change this, then I can hook it around that tree. Like, why even why even attempt it? Why not just go with what you know you can do? Take the shot out. It's going to be like 40 yards out from the green and then chip on. Why even try to put yourself in the bunker again or in the tree line? Like, it's unnecessary.
So to your point, when it comes to a more elite player, the more elite player has some standards, and I wouldn't discourage this young man so much as reword it. If you're gonna tinker, what are you tinkering off of? What is your standard shot here, and what is one, maybe two adjustments to how you set up that could pull this shot off without you having to tinker your swing? Most people don't realize they have a very repeatable swing. At any skill level, at any handicap level, it repeats more often than you realize. So, which is why standards are really key. Look at any industry, look at any sport, there's always standards. With golf, you can tinker 9 to 10 different things in your setup and get a different result from a ball from a in your ball flight.
Right.
But what do you know to tinker? Which thing should you tinker? If this young man's doing it with a tournament round that counts, then that could be in the stupid column. But if he's doing it out playing, experimenting, that's not necessarily even in the dumb category unless he doesn't have the standards. And again, the book is written more about the higher handicapper, the one who doesn't want to practice, but you can take some of the learning lessons from the book to this young man and go, okay, do you know your carry yardages? Do you know where you aim and how you're aiming it? And what kind of shot are you trying to hit here? And what are the one, maybe two things you can change to actually pull this off? Tour players, that's why they become tour players. They do that experimentation, but they always find early in the experimentation without a standard to tweak off of, the results are scattered. Once they can tweak off a standard, then they see a lot more. You'll use the term consistency. I'm going to use the term they see a more repeated result.
Right. I think dispersion's probably a good thing on that too, because it's like when they're experimenting with something, that dispersion is probably going to look like a buckshot where the ball's going to end up in a bunch of different places.
And
And
that's
their
okay at the
idea
beginning.
is to get it down to a slug where it's a more concentrated area.
Absolutely.
Now, with this young man, Magic, the only thing I tell him to do, like as advice is you just said it. Most people have a very repeatable swing, they don't even realize it. He has a beautiful swing. Just gorgeous swing. And I'm like, I tell him all the time, I'm like, Magic, you don't need to adjust and tinker with your swing. Like you said, there's other things you can tinker with, like ball position, you know, like there's variables you can do. You don't need to, essentially, you don't need to change what brought you to the dance and got you to number two at Granite. And you asked what he tinkers off of, right? And this is where me, because I help as a volunteer with the kids on the golf team during the season. uh, he tinkers off of YouTube videos, and I'm like, don't do that. That's a bad rabbit hole to fall down, because everybody's going to say they have the cure all for what you may have experienced during that round, and then you're going to get off a base, when you could have actually been starting to find something, because you think, oh, this instant or quick fix is going to fix me, when you may not have even needed fixing at all, you know?
You're hitting on probably the rawest nerve of all amateur golfers, that they believe. I'm dating myself, and you may or may not remember these two, Cheech and Chong. Cheech and Chong's famous Christmas skit where Santa has magic dust that he gives the reindeer. It's on broadcast radio every Christmas. And I tell my people, if I had Cheech and Chong's magic dust that made Santa's reindeer fly, do you really think I'd be giving it to you? You have to reach into your own pocket and find it. That experimentation's fine to go find it. But if you're trying to pull it out in the heat of the battle, good luck. It may or may not show up. The odds are so against it that you deserve the score you got from that. And that's the other sort of life lesson that the book, um, there's an underpinning theme to it, is you get into it, you get out of it what you put into it. And if you want to put in the minimal, here is the minimal that you'll get. And you should be happy with that. You should be happy that you're hitting better missed shots. You should be happy that you're incrementally lowering your score. You should be happy that you're learning a skill, not trying to relearn something that might or might not be broken. You should be happy with, wow, I've actually seen my potential. I've seen what I'm capable of doing. That shot that brings everybody back. That could be the definition of potential. But at some point, and this is where a couple of more books down the road off of this initial one will help people out, is where do you go from there? Once you can establish these standards and get to the point where, you know what, I'm ready to commit a little bit more to my game. I'm ready to do a little bit more. Most people go to YouTube, they read magazines, they do a lot. I'm guilty of contributing that some of that content. What people don't realize, I use the word standards. What are your priorities as you watch those YouTube videos? Do those videos actually hit what you and your coach are working on, or what the buzz phrase right now is, what's your root cause? Uh,
Right.
if you're watching videos that have nothing to do with your priorities, go have fun, experiment, keep it in the back of the filing cabinet here, but be very cautious is the term I'll use. Conservative aggression is something that's outlined in pillar number 6 as far as going out and playing. Can you be conservative as you take in this content, understand how it applies to your priorities, and not necessarily play fearlessly, but play with some parameters that allow you to play aggressively with the tools that you have? I'm just expanding on the simplicity of how you've been telling this young man. Uh, but it's good for the audience to know that the roots run a little bit deeper here than what most coaches will say. And what a really good coach is trying to get you to do is pull this out from your minutia so you can get to the bottom of things. One of the ultimates is golf is a hard game. You don't make it easy, you make it simpler. And that's what the book tries to do for you. And that's what a great golf coach is trying to do for you.
Right. And I think that's touches a lot of things with him. And I have been very, I wouldn't say gentle with him, but I would say I've been very optimistic with him because he gets so down on himself after a bad shot. And I'm like, hey, one shot. You don't need to change everything about the shot you just had. You just got to go and approach the next shot with the full confidence that you're going to make that shot. And that's, that's a hard thing too, especially with younger athletes is they hold themselves and a lot of golfers do too cuz let's be real, we love this game so much. We're all a little cuckoo with what this game does to us sometimes cuz we keep going back for more punishment.
It's one of those things you can do recreationally where you can beat yourself up, but learn a little something along the way.
Right. And I think one of the things the last thing really when I think of the pillars and just your book in general, but your book is as much as like it's helping a high handicapper like me who's trying to get lower. Like my goal for this summer is by October to get down to at least 16 to 15 handicap from 21 right now. I don't think that's a crazy goal. I think that's achievable. There's a plan that can be put in place to get there. Now, with him though, the one skill that I have that he still struggles with, and I told him this before I got your book, which is crazy because I didn't know I was a person who used this instead. Because I don't believe in course management. The course doesn't change, the pin locations change unless they're making an older course longer. But like, the course doesn't change all that much. The course has no emotions; it just has variables. But you have emotions. You can only control how you react to every
That's
shot in
right.
every situation. You got to have self management, not course management.
Yeah, that's a term that was, oh, this is easily 20 some odd years ago. I was at the Golf Academy of Hilton Head at Sea Pines, and my mentor there, Skip Malik, who I still keep in touch with, he sort of hinted at that. And during a discussion with a couple of other coaches, we all sort of agreed that it's a misnomer. There's two things that manage a course: the superintendent, whatever higher being you might believe in. The rest of it's managing yourself and understanding those variables, as you said. And I'm glad you got that out of that chapter. Most people don't get that. But they also don't get the concept of, do you have a pre-shot routine that has you aim consistently? Uh, that is something you do have control over. And when you're worried about where pins are, yet you don't have the capability of hitting the pin, and you decide, let's hit the middle of the green, and you do it, and you do it successfully, and you do it successfully more than once, you start building trust. And trust begets the confidence that everybody's looking for. The commonality that I see in the higher handicap is they don't trust what they're doing. And what this book tries to pull out is, hey, follow these steps, start trusting yourself with these steps, stay the course, pun intended, and then maybe somewhere down the road, not a long road, quite honestly, not a long road. I've had some readers of this book try this out in one round, see some positive results. It's a matter of staying the course after.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go to um, pillar number 2. I want to get that stat. Um, yes, here it is. So, one thing as a high handicapper, and I'm trying to get better, and I'm going to get there. I got that belief. But one thing I always see too, especially like when I go to play with my brother, is when you're trying to hit an approach shot and you're looking in your bag, you're like, all right, what do I need to get there? and you put it in such like perfect wording for me because it's like, well, what is in your bag that you can hit and you'll know you can hit the green versus, well, let me get a club that I can get it right next to the hole, but I'm gonna have to make a harder swing or some kind of like. As soon as you start making that thought process, 83% of the time you land short.
You land short. All the statistical platforms show that. I'm a user of Arcos. I encourage all my clients to use it. I'm able to go onto the coaching dashboard and I see that number time after time after time at the beginning of our coaching relationship. And as I convince them, let's take the club that goes the average carry distance, that number starts shrinking. A really acceptable number for a higher handicap is, hey, if I'm only hitting 3 or 4 greens in regulation, which is really good for someone shooting in the high 90s, but only 30 to 35% of the time I'm landing short, that's a huge win, because now at least you're taking clubs that you have a chance to get hole high or pin high, as some people call it, or past. The other thing for most people to realize is 95% of all danger lies in front of the green. So why are you taking a club that keeps that in play? This particular story is a true story, but it happens almost on a regular basis. I had a client years ago. I've got Flight Scope out to evaluate him as he starts his golf school, and I asked him to pull out his 150 club, and he hits 9 iron 10 times, and his average carry was 128. And as we sit down and go over the evaluation, I show them that, hey, and he's like, well, it was a bad day, or it's this, I'm nervous. He had a lot of excuses for it. Third hole of that golf course, par three, 150, water down the right side, a big bunker down the right side, and the pin's tucked right. And he hits a fade and he pulls out 9 iron. And I reminded him, hey, is it 9 iron? Can I ask you, when was the last time you hit 9 iron 150? And this was his exact reply. I'll paraphrase it. He says, well, it was about 5 years ago. I was hitting a par three down a hill with a 10 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour wind behind me, and I flushed it. And I'm like, okay, where are we now? Are all these circumstances the same now? And he's like, well, I still say this is my 150 club. Where did the ball end up? In the pond.
And it
I,
wasn't even remotely close, was it?
Nowhere close. So I end up giving him not an 8 iron, not a 7 iron. I give him a
Six
six
iron.
iron. And I'm like, make the same swing, but I want you to aim towards the left side of the green, aim to the left edge of the green, let your ball come back. He was pin high, middle of the green. He looks at me and says, well, that's a fluke.
Do it again.
Well, we did. I forced him the rest of the 9 holes of on course coaching that day. And it took him overnight to come back and go, that and aim just startled me. And I'm like, that's the beginning. Here's the beginning of your journey. Let's take real numbers, not fantasy numbers when it comes to your carry distances. Let's not take total distances either. What's the carry distance? It's okay to be behind greens. 95% of the time, it's okay to be behind the green. Uh, you got to look at the whole depiction and make sure that's not one of the 5%, but 95% of the time, let it go back behind you. But pick the club that carries that, not totals it, and make a normal swing. And when you do that, chances are, I'm not going to say your scores are going to come down, but you're going to have more opportunities for that score to come down.
Right. I think a perfect example of that actually, my wife, when we were practicing for the tournament the day before, we went and I have this golf journal that I picked up. So it's like I can log my practice and
Hmm.
stuff. But one of the things that she actually did, which is nuts, because I want to show it off a little bit, you know. Oh, there goes her alarm. Hold on. Um, she was asking me, she's like, "Well, I'm taking notes of all these greens, right? Because we're looking at the locations of the greens and the pin locations. And here, I want to show you this. So this is some of the shapes that she drew of the greens and where the pins
That's
were.
pretty good.
Yeah. And one of the things she goes, "Why is there always 2 to 3 bunkers just in front of the green? Why is there, water left side front of the green?" Why? I'm like, because that's the most enticing spot that people want to get it, is right at that pin, right at that front of the green. They want to roll on and go to the hole when they're far away, and it tricks them into making bad shots because they're like, "Oh, I can totally get it there." When you really can't. You when you're sitting there, like, I have this thought process now. If I look at a shot, right, and I go, like, a perfect example, par 3, second hole at my home course. It's an elevated par 3 a little bit, and it's 145 yards, but it can die sometimes depending on the wind. So, like, 145 yards for me is my 8 iron to 7 iron, depending on my shoulder and how it feels that day. So if I'm in between clubs, sometimes I'll look at that and I'll go, "Well, I'm feeling 7 iron, so I should probably hit a 6 iron."
Good decision.
And that's kind of how I've been approaching golf now for the last couple of weeks. Um, is I'm trying to approach it with, okay, what I feel has no bearing on my game. It's what I should do. So if I'm feeling this way, ego wise, then I should club up one.
You just said the operative three-letter word, ego. And ego is not gender centric. Uh, Check the ego at the door. Understand the data that you can produce. Start writing it down as your wife has. Journaling is a great way of remembering things on the golf course. And that book, by the way, by USGA rules, perfectly legal for her to have in the bag and pulling out at any time, just because it's her words, it's her writing, it's her references. It's not asking for information from anybody, totally legal. And when a golfer starts doing that, I know they're making a better commitment to not just the game, but to themselves. As most golfers know, golf's a microcosm of life, and when you're taking the notes of the decisions or the discoveries that you're making on the course, using them for later. When I patted my head in the filing cabinet, she's making the filing cabinet right there. You'd be very surprised years from now what comes out of that filing cabinet that says, "Up, let's do this instead."
Right. Another thing though too, and I I have to ask this because I should have asked you this in the beginning, but we were getting
I
into it
didn't
just
do it.
so good.
I didn't
You
do it.
you did do it. You did. You did do this. What was that shot that you had that, like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to golf.
You're talking about career wise?
No, just like what got you into the game where you're just like, you had that, you went with your buddies early in the morning,
Got
but
it.
like,
Got
what
it. Got
shot
it.
was it?
Okay. So we had an off-camera discussion about how I got into golfing, and I'm a former collegiate professional soccer player who had to retire at the tender age of 20 while I was still in school. And some buddies were walking through the hallway of the dormitory, woke me up one morning after a late night out, and woke me up. And what convinced me to go play was me asking them why they were going to play at 6 o'clock in the morning. And one of them said, "Well, you can drink beer on the golf course at 6." So I'm like, count me in. I've only been sleeping a couple of hours. Why not? And I don't think it was any particular shot at that given moment so much as it was a release of competitive frustration. Um, Number one. Number two, right away, I could see with my athleticism that this was a great escape back into potentially being competitive. At what level at that point, I had no clue. But I think
Right.
the shots that brought me back each and every time, some of them were misses, but they were unintended misses that actually did something I wasn't counting on in a positive way. Um, I'll give you an example. Trying to pull a 2 iron out because I'm watching on TV that they can hit it 240. I'm trying to get it to go 190 maybe, and it goes 235 by sheer accident. And I can't find the ball where I think it is. It's 40 yards past. Everybody has a couple of shots like that, and that is what brings you back, are those shots. What brings you back is, can I repeat it? Can it happen again? Am I
Chasing it.
capable of am I capable of doing it? And that's when you tend to forget how it happened. And a lot of times that miraculous shot happens. I'll use this term very loosely because you're not caring. You're not caring about an outcome. And all you're just trying to do is make your best effort forward. That is what brings most people back to this game, or for any game that matter.
Yeah.
The real key though with golf is it's not a journey for perfection. And that's where a lot of high handicappers jump off the diving board and never return back to golf, because they're seeking this perfect shot that happens once every 930 times according to Chat GPT. The numbers from some of the technology partners I have is 1.2 billion shots it takes to hit a perfect one. I think when you get caught up in perfection, you get caught up in the moment of this has to be absolutely precise or else. I think you lose perspective of the game. You lose perspective of what it is you're trying to accomplish in an ultimate marathon, not just a sprint. And if you're looking for just that one shot, go to Top Golf and find it. Go to these other places and find it. That's where you will find it, and that's where you're going to get the most enjoyment out of it. Can you string 80% of that shot into 3 or 4 shots on the golf course? That's how you start in the marathon. That's how you end it.
Yeah, I going back to Magic, actually. I told him one time when we were playing, I'm like, "You had a good miss. You had a great miss. Don't be upset that it wasn't the perfect shot right where you wanted it to go. You still put yourself somewhere where you can have success." And I
Correct.
told him, I'm like, "Golf's not a game of perfect. Golf is a game of how good did you miss?" Like, it's dispersion. It's not always gonna go point A to point B. Sometimes it might go from point A to point C, but C can still help you.
B plus or minus 5% is fantastic. B plus or minus 10% is even better. Well, not better than minus five, plus or minus five, but that's how I talk. I talk about point C as somewhere where they're aiming incorrectly, because we want that dispersion to be a plus or minus off of what that target slash label B is. Um, with my elite players, we're always talking about yards or feet plus or minus based on the shot, the quality of the shot, the ease of the shot, the club they have in their hand. I think if people start looking at it as, right now I'm plus or minus 50 to be, all you're trying to do by tomorrow, can you make it plus or minus 49%? Can you make it plus or minus 48 the next day? uh, I'm constantly talking about, what can you do 1% better? And that's really the genesis of the book. You want instant? Well, instant is, get it 1% better today.
Right. Um, One thing that really stuck with me because I am now getting to that point where I'm practicing more and more. And even though I'm still a high handicapper, I'm just trying to trust the process. Like, the more I put into this, the more I'm going to get out of it. I may not see it right now, but I'm going to see it eventually. And it's baby stuff. Like right now, I'm learning how to chip better from greenside, and I'm working on that. And I'm also learning to go and putt. Like now when I'm done with my round of golf, I play for like an hour at the end on just the putting green or the 18th or ninth green, just chipping and putting. Like I play a game called Up and Down where I chip onto the green and then wherever that ball lands up, I try to two putt it or one putt it depending.
Great.
So,
That's a great practice, and it's very purposeful versus just banging balls. From a learning new movement and trying to ingrain this neuropathically, whenever you're putting some circumstance, whenever you're using some simulated types of practice like that, your brain's going to recall it much easier when the chips are down in a pressurized moment.
right. Um and then one other thing I like to do as far as drills go, my friend just showed me this and it was actually I think you have a variation of it in the book with the 3 feet drill
Hmm.
and the long distance with the 3 feet drill. We put we actually, and I have these still because I accidentally did not return them to him because oops, they were in my pocket. We had 4 tees that we put around the cup or around an area, and that was considered 3 feet. So if you got it within that, that was all right, 1 point. Because 3 feet's supposed to be what you refer to in the book as your short comfort zone.
Correct.
Where you should start is your short comfort zone should start at about 3 feet.
Got to build the trust from there. If you don't have the trust from within 3 feet, how are you going to put a 30 footer within 3 feet?
Guilty as charged. It's funny is that my wife, she always tells me, she's like, you are way better at your long putts than you are your short putts. And she asked me, she's like, why is that? And I'm like, well, to be honest, and now that I've read your book, it kind of confirms it. I put way too much pressure on my short putts than I do my long putts. My long putts, I'm like, let me just try to lag it close. And then I'm sitting over my short putt, like, oh, I got to make this. I got to make this. You know?
The closer you get to the hole, the more the anxiety temperature gauge goes up. And when somebody gives you a 3 foot putt, do you not feel like cinder blocks have been lifted from your shoulders? That's probably because you've never practiced 3 foot putts. What was funny when I was a assistant professional at two or three different private facilities years ago, there everybody for the club championship, the member guest, the average scores went up easily 4 to 5 strokes simply because they had to play it down and putt it out, and nobody's ever putting it out. And they complain, why you change the rules? Wait a minute, that's always been the rules. Why have you been giving yourself?
Gimmies are not part of professional or tournament
It's not
golf.
part of the rules. It's just that's not part of the rules.
Because if there
Uh,
was gimmies, uh, correct me if I'm wrong. Tiger Woods, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and the likes would be shooting minus 21 in a round easily.
yeah, absolutely. The other misconception, you see this amongst people my age or older, is hey, it's in the leather, it's good. In the leather, the real definition of that was back when clubs were made out of hickory shafts. They were wrapped with leather grips, and that leather grip could be as long as 20 inches long. So when you were given a putt within the leather, they'd literally lay the butt end of the golf club down, the putter down in the hole. And if the ball was within the leather grip, you got it's okay, no problem, 20 inches, you can have it. Nowadays, I see these people take 40, 50-inch putters, put the head of the club in the cup, and go, okay, it's within the length of the putter.
No, it's
You're
not.
fooling
It's like
yourself.
almost 5 feet.
You're fooling yourself.
Yeah, like let's to put this into perspective for everybody else. 20 inches is a foot and a half. Getting some change.
Right.
That's a gimme. Okay, that's a tap in. 50 inches is 4 feet 2 inches. That's not a gimme. That's you need to put that out. You need to make that. And if you ever find yourself, I'm just gonna say this is like for me personally, I don't do gimmies anymore because gimmies only shortchange yourself when you're trying to get better. Can you do gimmies when you're with your buddies? Sure. If you're doing a scramble and you're doing stuff like that, sure. For the fun, doesn't matter. Just don't be putting that on your USGA again because it doesn't count.
Agreed.
And you're only going to hurt yourself. So, last thing that I really wanted to touch on with you that
Sure.
I did not get a chance to touch on earlier. Um, when did you start coaching? Like, what got you into coaching golf?
So I got to go back to my soccer career where I knew that being a professional athlete was something I truly was passionate about and enjoyed. And because of an early knee injury, I had to start thinking of an exit strategy. Oh, it wasn't called that then. It was called, hey, you got to quit playing because. Um, and what intrigued me a lot was the great coaches that my parents surrounded me with. And they always had a way of inspiring me to become more self motivated. What a lot of people don't realize about coaching is a coach isn't there to motivate. Motivation comes from within. These coaches found a way for me to relight the fire when it needed to be relit. They knew how to stoke it when it needed to get a little bit hotter. They knew how to quench it when I was going too fast and needed to slow down and realize some details that were staring me in the face that were preventing me from reaching the goal that I had for myself. So that was always intriguing to me, and the various styles and the various personalities. And then the front office part was really intriguing. I got along great with the admin people, whether it was in college or professional, and what they did and the people they were interacting with and all the behind the scenes things was very intriguing. So when golf became the outlet of choice at first, it was a very intense lifestyle. I was playing every chance I could, but then as I realized through what I did professionally, it wasn't quenching those two thirsts. That's when I decided maybe I should become a golf professional. At first, it was let me go try to play, and realized early on if you don't make a cut, you don't get paid. And was I wanting to go through that again? Was I wanting to go through that type of training again? And ultimately, I decided no, but I still remain very competitive as far as trying to get through Class A qualifiers. Played a number of them, missed some PGA tournaments by a stroke or two, a couple of different times. But the coaching aspect always intrigued me. And now that I run my own academy, doing that front office is a lot of fun. It sort of quenches my tripod of passions. Let me go play. Let me keep my skills up. Let me continue to be the athlete that I enjoyed being at a younger age. Let me let me go as deep as I can as a coach to find and help somebody get what they can get out of themselves, for them to understand and actually accomplish something that they didn't think they could, or maybe they didn't understand how to accomplish it. And then from the front office standpoint of view, being competitive in the workspace, being competitive in the industry, in the small niche that's golf instruction, has been very rewarding. Not necessarily monetarily, you don't get rich doing this, but you can certainly live a somewhat comfortable life doing this. The people you get to meet, the places you get to go and travel to, your off time activities. There's really not too many other sports in the world that offer that kind of diversity, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your age or gender. Some other sports are very limited that way. But from a coaching standpoint of view, back to your original question, I think it has more to do with giving back. I think every professional athlete, when they reach a certain point, says, you know what? I've gotten everything I can from this, and it's now time to share the wealth. It's now time to share the experiences and help somebody else have just as much fun, if not more fun, than what I had experiencing what I've experienced. And that's what gets me up every morning is what can I do today to continue what I did from yesterday, but doing it a little bit differently and I try to live by my own 1%. What can I do 1% better today? Typically, that's passed on to my clientele, showing them that they are capable of reaching their potential. They might have to do it differently. They might have to feel something different. It might even be awkward. It might be uncomfortable, but that's okay. I'm there to support them through that journey. And it is a journey, it's not just a one and done. And that's what makes golf special. That's what makes coaching special.
Yeah. I could not have said that any better myself. Like, I am, I'm trying to get to the point where I can play pros. At first, when I first started this game, it started as a weight loss thing for me. I went from 292, I'm down to 260 now.
Good for you.
And at first, I'm like, oh man, I want to be as good as the pros and play the pros. And I still want to do that. But I don't want to like necessarily go. I'm 30, so I don't necessarily want to go through qualifiers and all that. At this age, like I'd like to be competitive to where I can do something on the YouTube scene and give back to people more than take. Like I the entire time I've been with Magic and I've gotten to play with him, I've gotten more fulfillment out of helping him with his mental game and just small things here and there than anything I've ever done on the course. And it's kind of weird because this is coming from someone whose second, I think it was my second round of golf that I ever played. I had these really juiced up Wilson launch pads, and I hit an 8 iron from about 140, and it had some side spin on it, and it rolled out to about 2 inches from the hole, or 2 feet from the hole, and I made my first ever par.
A
You
lot
know,
of people remember that first par. They remember that first birdie. That's what brings them back. That I think that's what you're trying to pull out of me. Uh, there's, like I said, there's not really one shot that comes to mind. It's more the total experience that comes to mind with that.
let me take you with me real quick. So this is my little golf case, and I've got like achievements that I've done on here. This was my first ever ball that I rode on. 7-13-25, my first ever par at my home course. And here's the funniest part is I didn't even realize it until I picked the ball up that I've been playing that entire time. It's a TaylorMade Kalia. I was playing what is quote unquote a woman's ball.
It's only a label.
It's only a label. Because I'll tell you right now, man, Kalias, they roll great around the green.
It's only a label. What matters is that you made the effort for that to happen.
Yeah. And to me, like I said, that was my, oh my gosh, that was my moment that stuck, and I have it in that case. And I tell you, I felt more joy getting my first par than I did my first birdie.
And that's what a lot of coaches live off of, that little bit of adrenaline that you share, that little smile or smirk that I did that. And that's what brings us back the next day.
Yeah. Um, I guess to finish up here, and I would love to have you on again at some point, is to finish it up. Is there anything you're doing that you'd like to tell the people about? Like, what is John Hughes doing?
Sure, that there's a lot going on. This is technically my off season. I'm going into a 6 week stretch that historically is a very slow time for us in Florida. Right now, I occupy my time during this downtime. I'm doing well, let me start with I'm in Orlando at the Omni Orlando Resort at Champions Gate, and that's where people can find me. You can find my website, johnhughesgolf.com, and the various programs I have there. Those same programs I do as a residency at another sister Omni property, Omni Homestead Resort in Hot Springs, Virginia. America's oldest resort. It predates the Declaration of Independence by 10 years. Really special place. It's where Sam Snead grew up, where he gave his first lesson, where he honed his skills. two wonderful facilities, a perennial top 100 in the Cascades course. It's a big boy golf course. It's a lot of fun, but both places as Omnis are extremely family oriented, very friendly and warm staffs. They treat me like family there at both facilities. And I'm back and forth. I leave here in a couple weeks for about a 10-day stint. And then I've got about a 20-day stint late September through October. If you're interested in seeing me there, contact me. I can give you what available dates are left there. And I plan to do that for the next couple of years. I'm helping them try to resurrect their instructional program, which was once one of the go-to places for golf schools years ago. The other thing we're working on through the book is coming up with a golf school format to this. And myself and my lead assistant here, we're working every day to try to figure out the details to that. We'll be announcing the launch of those schools here shortly with dates leading into 2027. Just we're trying every day to do something different and improve ourselves that way. And I think the franchise of the Instant Golf Improvement book is something where I'm focusing on for the long term. It's sort of the legacy I'm trying to leave behind. And to that end, there's two more books that I'm writing. The genesis to this book I've talked about, and it's six chapters. It's a forward, it's an intro, but it's in essence the six main chapters. I wrote those chapters before COVID and didn't think I had a book. I didn't think there was enough content there. In 2024, I got to writing. I have two manuscripts at that time I'm working on. And I decided let's work on instant golf improvement. That should be the easier one to finish. And I write 28 more chapters, put it together as a book, give it to a literary consultant for just some ideas. Is it publishable, that kind of thing. And this person turned around and said, I want to publish it, but it's two books, and the first book ends with the sixth chapter. So the ironic thing was I had this book sitting around for a few years and didn't know the gold I had in that. So the other 28 chapters are now being edited down to two more books. The first one, its working title is Pillars to Success. Still haven't come up with the title to the third one yet, but I'm trying to diligently get that together and possibly have it published before the holiday season when books are a popular gift for people. So there's a lot going on in the John Hughes golf world right now.
I tell you, John, if I find a book in my mailbox holiday season, be the best Christmas gift I could get. That's for sure.
There you go.
I'm totally not pining for a copy, just
If it's available, I'll send you one. Right now, I've got to get to work on getting the editing done.
yeah. Um you mentioned doing some stuff at the Omni. So there's an Omni Resort in Virginia and there's an Omni Resort in Orlando.
Correct. I don't know the exact count worldwide, but there are 13 Omni properties in North America that have golf courses as part of their operational strategy, whether it's actually on the piece of property or adjacent to the piece of property. Uh, I'm very lucky in that I'm at a 36 hole facility here in Orlando, two great golf courses designed by Greg Norman, a fantastic practice facility, really good staff that allows some flexibility for me and my clients to access the golf course. We have a 10-hole par three course that we use for short game and beginners as well. Where Omni Homestead, a very traditional resort, very old school resort, the history to it's incredible. The golf courses are over 100 years old each. Uh, and the real, how would I put it? The amazing thing behind those two courses as compared to the ones in Orlando is those two courses were built with mules, not bulldozers. And the conceptual ideas of Donald Ross and William Flynn, seeing what they saw in topographical maps and clearing trees and using very little mechanisms to do what they did with those golf courses, absolutely incredible. And Omni's got a really good collection of courses like that. I'm really pleased to say that I'm part of the Omni family in a very indirect way, but very proud to say that you can go play any of these courses anywhere in North America and have a challenge and a lot of fun time with that challenge.
John, do you know if there's any Omni Resorts out here in California?
Absolutely, La Costa.
And is that northern or is that Southern Cal?
So that's Southern Cal. Like I said, I don't know the portfolio very well out west, but La Costa is one of those go-to destinations.
The Omni, just for the thing, Omni La
Omni La
Costa,
Costa. Yep,
Omni La Costa Golf Course, golf at Omni 4.2. It has two championship golf courses, the North Champions and the South Legends, offering 36 holes for all skill levels with a rich history of hosting tour and NCAA championships.
they
It's
just
only
held an
four
NC.
hours from me.
Yeah, they just held. I want to say the NCAA Women's Championship there. They just hosted the entire golf operations of Omni. All 13 met out there recently. Their annual meeting was held there. I've been there once years ago. It's a fantastic property, as all the Omni properties are. The Rawling family, who own the Omni brand, do a fantastic job of reinvesting back into the assets, back into the people who care for the assets.
Well, John, if you ever find yourself in Southern California, you got to let me know because I have to meet at the
It's
Omni.
We can do that. It's been a little while since I've been there. It's been about 10, 12 years since I've been there, but I'm due to get back.
What's interesting is the Omni in Orlando actually is probably about 45 minutes away from where my mother lives, and that's
Hmm.
I grew up, you know,
Harmony St.
back
Cloud,
in
it sounds like.
yeah, I grew up back and forth between Kansas and Florida, but my stepfather got me into golf. He tried to get me into golf when I was like 15 and it just didn't stick because I was a big baseball guy. So I was like, nah, I'm going to play baseball. But I would ask him to go golfing every once in a while because I found it like very therapeutic to just go out there and hit a ball and not have to worry about like, okay, am I going to fly out? Am I going to ground out or something like that? Yeah, it didn't always end up where I wanted it to, but I'm like, yeah, this is kind of fun. And then I picked it up 14 years later as a thing for weight loss because I'm like, oh, I'm really heavy. This was after COVID. I let myself go a little bit and I'm like, all right, summer of 24, I'm like, what is something that I can do that I can, lose weight and not really think about and kind of compartmentalize the fact that I'm trying to lose weight, but focus on something else. And golf was it. And, I mean, last year alone, the last, year and a half when I started in 25, I did 650 miles last year just walking on the course.
A lot to be said about that. That's how the game was intended to play back in the early, what is it, 1500s, when shepherds and their crooks hit rocks in the mole holes, and you had to walk from mole hole to mole hole as you were watching the sheep graze.
Yeah. And point being, uh, maybe be able to here in the next year or so, depending on how things go. I really wanted to make it this summer. I still might. I'm not sure. It's up to how money goes and everything. But man, if I could get out to the Omni and watch you do your thing, that would be awesome because I was watching a YouTube video of yours before I went to bed last night after reading the book. It was the swing through, not at mentality. Like you need to swing through the ball, not at it, because those who
Yep.
swing at the ball will slice it more times than not than those who focus on swinging through the ball. So,
Everything you do, you've got to go through and follow through with
yeah.
everything. It's not just a golf swing, and I'm glad you got something out of that and something out of the book, and appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast. And when you're out here next time, just let me know ahead of time. You're more than welcome. Wish you really well with trying to get back into shape and be good to yourself doing so.
Oh man, I got right after this. I have to go to physical therapy for my shoulder. So, I mean, it's been getting better though, day by day, and now I really have to
1%,
take those lessons.
1%.
Well, I would say the last two physical therapy sessions I've had closer to the 3 to 4% range every time I go. So
Good.
I'm sitting uh last week went before I started, I was sitting at probably about 60%. Right now, after a few sessions and some home stuff, I think I'm sitting at like 68, 70%. So
1% a day. That's all it takes.
yeah. All right. John, thank you so much for making time for me and taking time out of your day for this interview. This was incredible. We got to do this again. If I'm in Orlando or you're in Southern Cal, we gotta meet up, man. Like this was incredible.
You got it.
Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to say to the people or
No, like I said, you can reach me, johnhughesgolf.com. That's the easiest place to reach me. My email address, my telephone number's there. Social media, whether it's an ampersand, a hashtag, John Hughes Golf. We made it really simple early
I
on.
subscribe to your YouTube channel, sir. I did that.
And the more people I can get on that YouTube channel, the better.
Right. Actually, real quick, let me before we get out of here, let me pull
Sure.
this up
And then
because
the book is also instantgolfimprovement.com if somebody wants to buy the book there. Like I said, I'll hand sign the book if you purchase it through that website.
absolutely. All right, your videos, boom. Okay, so to reach you on YouTube
Is John Hughes
is
Golf.
John Hughes Golf. John, capital J, space, Hughes, capital H, space, golf,
Yep,
capital G. That is important because, well, in YouTube, it can kind of narrow it down. You are one of the first search results when I look up John Hughes Golf. So,
I would hope so. If there's another
yeah,
John Hughes with golf, well, I do know one, but he spells it Jon, not John. So
right. Well, John, this was incredible. Everyone, go check out his book. You can get it on Amazon for $20, or you can get it at
instantgolfimprovement.com.
and you will get a signed copy from the man himself. And for those of you who are in Orlando, is there any spots still open for that at the Omni?
We work by appointment. You just got to give us a call, tell us what you want to do. We customize everything one to one for everybody, and we get you in the schedule as quickly as our availability will allow.
Awesome. So for everyone here, thank y'all for tuning in. Looking forward to the things that we're going to do on this channel, and I'm also looking forward to the things that Mr. Hughes here is going to do in the future. I'm pining for that book, sir. So until we get to speak again, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you for the opportunity, Alex. Wish you the best as well.
All right, guys, this was the Scratch Project with special guest John Hughes. Until next time, this was Pods Plays Golf. Have a good one. Skunked Golf. Look good even if your game stinks.